Maybe going forward, Shannon, you should just send out an email reminder that it's at 7 o'clock.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good call, Lucia. And thought we had, in fact, we have David Salco is dialing in right now. Fabulous. Yes. So welcome, David, and that officially gives us a quorum. So thank you.
We are on YouTube, and I'm going to start the recording of this meeting.
Marvelous. Okay. Thank you, Dan. So welcome everybody again. Sorry about the confusion with the different time start this month. We made an intentional decision to migrate to a 7 o'clock start just to allow people to have more of an evening. Really appreciate your continued dedication and willingness to volunteer and serve on this commission, and so want to respect that by also respecting your time. So just to reiterate, we're going to be getting together once a month now, the second Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m., not 7:30.
Second Tuesday. Got it.
Correct. And I see Lieutenant DeRuza's joined us as well, so that's terrific.
They have like an open mic that's usually a very loud.
Who's the lieutenant?
Lieutenant DeRuza.
DeRuza, okay.
And she's unmuted.
So without further ado, I'd like to move to the agenda, which Elena sent just yesterday. And if you'll scroll down to the bottom of page 1, we've got a number of items listed under old business. And just to kind of, for the purpose of everyone's shared understanding. Wonderful. Okay. Welcome, Alana.
Sorry that it wasn't working. I've been here since 7. It just wouldn't work. The link on the agenda was not working.
Sure.
Okay, right. No, it was the link in the email from Clerk Treasurer instead.
So just I did not get a link. She did not send me one. So maybe we need to circle back. I didn't get it.
Yeah. Oh, I know Sally had a couple of issues.
Yeah.
Well, luckily you didn't miss anything. We are live, so just for your situational awareness. And what I'd like to do right now is just kind of tick through the items listed under old business to just make sure that we all kind of have a shared understanding of where these are. As Lucia just reminded us, things stay on the old business task list until they're done. And this helps us, have some level of accountability and, shared understanding with the village. When there is, for instance, a crosswalk that has been agreed to be painted, until that crosswalk actually gets painted, it's going to stay on the list. So with that being said, the stop sign at the corner of Park and Florence, that was something that was agreed to, yes?
Yeah, so do you want me to take you through it? Because we spent about 45 minutes on this issue at the last meeting.
Oh, God. No, I would love for you to just give us the bottom line decision and where we are.
Okay, so last month we did not have a quorum. And so a number of neighbors showed up. And so Kelly had said, you can revote on it next month. So what we did, there were 2 issues. The 2 issues are the neighbors felt like there was a need for stop signs at the corner of an all-way stop at the corner of Park Avenue and English Place. So that's the entrance to Florence Park. So the other thing that the neighbors wanted was to get rid of the public parking. So we put it all into one vote and it did not pass. So because there were not enough votes, Kelly said, why don't you revote next month? So I think there's a number of neighbors here again, and rather than rehash everything that we already went through, one of the things that might make more sense is to break those 2 issues into 2 different votes. So one of the votes can be for the stop signs, and the second vote can be for the parking. I don't know if anybody has any new information that needs to be shared or share. Whatever you want to do is fine. Do you want me to show you just a quick picture of what it looks like?
So why don't we, I guess I vaguely recall, and I apologize, I wasn't involved in this conversation last month. It sounds like, you know, the proposal on the table is to take 2 votes. And one is the vote on whether to, you know, we agree that a stop sign is merited at the corner of Park and Florence Street. And the second vote is a vote to
So right
remove
now,
public,
yeah,
remove
right now
public
there's,
parking.
so I'll show you real quick because the neighbor sent us some photos. There
Okay.
is sort of this ad hoc parking that people have begun doing at the corner. It's not like an official parking. It's just that there happens to be space. And here, let me just show you. Do you mind if I share my screen real quick?
Is it illegal parking?
Let me show you. Hang on a second. Do you see that? Do
Nope.
you see this?
Yep,
This-
now we do.
Okay. So let me just do slideshow from current slide. Okay, so
I can see it.
this is if you were to be driving from Halsted toward the park, and the park is right over here. You can see these cars sticking out here. So what the neighbors said was, you know, it's very dangerous. Cars come flying around this curve, and kids, because of these trees and other obstructions, you can't see the kids flying down Park Avenue. So what they had suggested is putting a stop sign here and also a stop sign over here so that the cars have to stop for a second before moving forward, so that the kids will have a second to hopefully, you know, not get hit. So that was the first issue. The second issue is that these cars are kind of sticking out, and they just felt like that also creates a hazard because cars that are driving around, it's essentially a 1-lane street. So I think the vote did not pass last month. And David, you can weigh in on this because the public parking was taken away. So that's just kind of a quick overview.
Okay.
So I guess I think I'm understanding now. So it sounds like the first issue is whether that, and that looks like a T-junction. So
Yeah,
whether that T-junction, and
It's
right
not
now
a-
there are no stop signs there?
Sharon,
not.
it's not a T. To this park doesn't go
Curve.
through. On
a
the
curve.
right is Florence Park.
Yep.
So
Yes.
Park
Okay.
Avenue does not go through. So it's not a real T.
It's a curve.
Oh, it's just a one
It's
turn.
one way into one way. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that simplifies things. And then, so if I'm traveling, and I'm assuming this is eastbound on Park Avenue, and I want to turn left, there is no left-hand
There
turn
is no
there.
left. No.
Okay. Okay.
There is no right coming down English from Halsted.
Got it. Okay. And the parking that you showed us, while it might be close to the corner, is it
Right here. It's
are
right
they
here.
parked? Are they parked illegally? Are there
It's not
signs right
illegal.
now?
No, it's not illegal because it does not say no parking. I mean, it's allowed.
Right.
You know what the issue was? The issue was the fact that the cars are parking perpendicular to the park instead of parallel parking or parking, you know, along the curb. If they parked along the curb, most of the residents said it wasn't going to be a problem.
Okay.
Right now, the way they're parking perpendicular forces traffic to drift into the middle of the street, which creates the hazard. That's
So
all.
just
You
so
don't
you
really
know,
have to eliminate the parking. You just have to
Yeah.
turn the cars
If it's-
around so they're parallel to the curb.
if it's
Yeah.
parallel, you'll fit 1 car. Right now it's
That's-
perpendicular, so it's 3 cars. So that's why
And-
they do
And
perpendicular.
presumably people are driving and parking there because they don't feel like walking to get to the park.
No, people are coming from, you know, all over the community. You know, this is mostly a residential park, but it's the only park in Rhinebeck. So
Right. No,
anybody,
but, but the reason that
Yeah,
there's a
Shannon, it was mentioned by one of the residents that when they have soccer games, the soccer coaches and
Mhm.
umpires tend to park there.
and Shannon, I will also mention that when Jean He took us for the walk to school for Rhinebeck, she took us, this is the walk to Bellows. The kids from this neighborhood go through Florence Park. So there's a lot of foot traffic. There's a lot of bike traffic. This is a route to school issue. There are no curb cuts. The kids enter into this driveway here in order to get onto the sidewalk. It's not an ideal situation. And it's incredibly congested. I mean, this picture does not do it justice. I drove by maybe 4 times this week, and there are cars on every single imaginable spot. So there's just no visibility. Visibility is a big problem on the street.
Shannon, just so you know, there's one comment from Olivia G. I don't know if you'll see it, says we were recommending amending the parking near the park, not taking away, but taking parking away on the English side of the street as well. And then Miss Christy Luciano has her hand raised. If you want to let her make a comment, or you want to wait for
Christine
discussion.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I recognize and appreciate the amount of time that was spent on this one particular agenda item last month. I'm sorry that I wasn't here for it, and I don't want to, prolong the agony anymore by asking way too many questions and having you all roll your eyes and go, well, you weren't even here, Shannon, come on. But it's difficult to, kind of make sweeping assessments or votes without getting out there and experiencing it. And I recognize we got a number of folks that are in the meeting and listening in right now who live there and can be good kind of like eyewitness advisors.
Well, I took a ride there too. I'm familiar with the neighborhood, very familiar.
Okay.
I
personally would right now today abstain from a vote simply because I've never been there before, and I don't feel comfortable recommending, traffic control devices like stop signs or whatever being installed without physically going out there and visiting a place, right? But if, I'm only one vote, I'm happy to be overwhelmed, So
I think that area is very dangerous. I've been there with my kids because they still play sports there. It's impossible to see a lot of what's going on when you're trying to make those turns, and there's so many kids. It is basically an accident waiting to happen, sadly.
I did take a ride there also last weekend, so I thought the same thing. Where those corners are parked on
Needs a stop sign.
Yeah, they shouldn't be there. That's my opinion. I did see a lot of cars.
I'll tell you from just kind of a local roadways functional classification standpoint, it's an unusual configuration to put a stop sign on all corners when it's just one single turn. But again, because I've not physically been able to get there myself, I'm speaking from just standard MUTCD.
Can I say one thing, Shannon? I have a camera on my house, so I can see people going by. And I was looking for examples to show you guys. There was one that went by so fast. I showed my son. I said, did you see that? I go, what do you think that was? I don't know if it was a kid on a skateboard. I don't know if it was a kid on a bike. I'm further up park, but those kids, there's a huge hill right here, and they are hauling butt down this hill, and they are not stopping. And when I pull out of my driveway, I am creeping. But by the time they get down here, if there's a car coming, it is an accident waiting to happen. I feel like they need a second for this car to pause before that bike or skateboard or whatever comes hauling down the street. It's very frightening.
May I ask something real quickly? What would be the downside of putting in a stop sign there? Because I don't know, given my limited knowledge of this area, the way you guys know it.
About $12,000.
Okay, but
about $12,000, and when we are
okay.
And I do not mean to minimize anybody's concerns about safety here,
No,
but anytime we recommend to the village that they erect signage, that they erect certain adaptations to the roadway, we're taking away from our local roadway.
You're taking $12,000 from your budget, so
correct.
Okay.
And because we made sort of a conscious decision to really, and again, not minimizing anyone's concerns about safety in this particular intersection, but when you take the broader view of, is it the most dangerous, of the most dangerous intersections? Is it the place that we got to invest here, folks,
right,
or we're definitely going to have, some sort of serious injury crash or something like that? And that's where I struggle with just kind of making a knee-jerk vote without actually going out and doing a like in-person physical visit and study.
In
But
fairness to the neighbors, I mean, I sent out an email asking everybody to visit. I know there were like a
Yeah,
million
it's
emails.
terrible.
right,
Well, Alana, also, I can almost guarantee you, and I think you'll agree with me, the kids on the bikes are not going to respect the stop signs.
No, but
Oh, no.
the cars.
And they're
the cars.
obligated to
it's
also.
for the cars.
Larry,
right?
it's
It's
for the
for the
cars.
Oh, aren't the bike riders obligated to respect stop
Yeah,
signs?
but they're not going to. They're kids. They're kids.
You're absolutely right, Larry. By New York VNT, all cyclists need to
Right.
behave like vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Well, I
So-
agree with that, but we all know that vehicles cause more bodily harm usually than a bike, given
Yep.
the mere weight of the
Yep.
car, velocity,
Absolutely.
and everything included.
So
So,
listen, and we've got a couple more. It's extremely dangerous for drivers and pedestrians, says Paula Rizzo. They also fly down English and the cars down park don't see them. So listen, you
Shannon?
guys have spent a lot of time on this already, and we do have a very full agenda, and I'll give fair warning that I'm only around for another 20 minutes or so, because we really do try to keep these to 1 hour.
If I could speak for a minute.
Sure, go ahead, David.
I was the only one that voted against the 2 stop signs at the last meeting. And that was because of the removal of the 6 parking spaces that was included in the motion. So the problem with the 2 cars that park beyond the proposed stop sign on English sticking out is that seeing those cars stick out there cause people coming down English to come to the middle of the street, and so they're even more likely to hit another car or a person or a pedestrian or bicyclist. So the motion was to remove both, do not allow any parking in that spot over there.
Right.
And then for each of the 2 stop signs that the motion proposed, there would be the removal of 2 parking spaces before the stop sign. So it was going to be a total of 6 parking spaces removed. One of the residents who was the parking, I believe he was a parking enforcement officer, said that you can not remove those parking spaces by putting a sign up that says no parking so many feet from the stop sign. So if you make that amount of feet small, you don't remove any parking. So I think that the concern over a crash there is justified because of the lack of visibility and the 2 cars sticking out. So I would suggest that if you allow one parallel parking space beyond the stop sign on English and not cut out both of the parking spaces before the stop signs on Park and or English, then you would limit the amount of parking that's being removed to 3. Or if you go to only one stop sign on English, you would limit the amount of parking spaces being removed to 2.
I think that's a great idea. Can I just interject one thing, because I've driven by 4 times? There is a massive tree here that if there's an SUV parked there and the tree is there, you might not see that stop sign. So I feel like you have
So-
to take away that spot.
Folks,
Yeah.
let me just throw this out there, and I apologize because I do not like the practice of boards, commissions, and government agencies just prolonging things. But it sounds to me like we've got a number of issues here. We've got a speed issue, a visibility issue, of potential for if not illegal parking, then at least problematic parking. And while I know that there are a lot of reasons to want to move quickly and be proactive and preventive and everything like that, it really does sound to me like given that we already spent 45 minutes working on this last month, and here we are again kind of delving into the 15 to 20 minute mark, and we've got a lot of folks on the line, I would like to propose that we literally go out there and just focus on this intersection in our next walking safety assessment and do a more holistic, comprehensive look at what needs to be done. Cutting back foliage, reducing the number of parking spaces, going out there with tape and measuring, practicing the kind of, survey-based, analysis that I think what we all agreed to be an important foundation for decisions that we're making as a board. I'd be happy to try to work with our village staff to coordinate something like this. We've got some models for safely distanced walking safety assessments now, I'm pleased to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just sounds like there's too many issues to try to cram it into a very rapid vote without a bit more sort of boots on the ground visibility. How does that sound if we agreed to promise to ourselves that we coordinated something before the end of September?
I'm okay with that.
Sure. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Sure.
Karen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. No, and I, thank you folks who turned out tonight to listen in from this neighborhood. You're obviously impassioned, and we will make sure that we publicly announce this so that you can come and join us and give us that local intel. Alana can tell you she's been on a lot of our walking safety assessments. It's the residents who make the difference because you got the stories. But I don't feel like I feel like there are too many confounding issues that we're trying to tackle, kind of simultaneously, and I want to make sure we do it in a careful and thoughtful way.
Shannon, can we also reach out to the police department and get?
We absolutely will. We absolutely will. And Lieutenant DeRuzo's on right now to bear witness. They're always invited. Yep.
Well, if there's any history at that intersection of crashes or
for the crash data. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. Christy is asking, school begins in early September. Can it be done sooner? Whew, that's we'll do our best.
It's really just an intersection. Some of our past safety assessments have been entire neighborhoods, have been entire walk to school. This is a tiny piece, but it is the gooseneck for every kid going to Bellows, going to Florence Park. It is where, it is a walk to school. So, I think that it is literally a corner. So I guess I just sort of hesitate at doing a walking assessment because it's more of like a half of an hour look as opposed to, these walking assessments tend to take 4 hours or 5 hours. So that's my only hesitation. And, school is starting and, the neighbors have been participating for 2 months now.
well, maybe we could just meet there for a half an hour one day, all of us.
I think that's great.
It doesn't have to be a walking assessment. It could just be an on-site meet.
I think
then
that's a great idea.
The other thing, keep in consideration that at the last meeting, the residents, I believe it was Christy and Bubba, those parking spots in front of that are being taken away, that's in front of their houses. So it really does, so it really will not affect anybody there, because they have the spots and stuff. So
in fact, if you ask the people who are listening, the people who are here might be the ones who are giving up the spots and could weigh in.
Right, that's what they said at the last meeting.
Well, I know that Christy said that she would be willing to give up the spot in front of her house.
Right.
So.
Right.
Okay. Well, listen, in the interest of time, folks, and I hate to be that person, but we do have a full agenda again, and sadly, I'm going to have to defer to somebody else to take lead here in a few minutes. Let's then agree to find a good date to get out there for less than an hour and, look at the intersection from the, context of walking it, driving it, scooting it, and parking it. And, we'll make sure that the folks that are here on the call listening in are aware and invited and take it from there.
Yes, I'll loop everybody in. I have their email, so I'll loop the neighbors in.
Okay, terrific. Thanks, Alana.
Don't do it during the day, it's too hot.
Yeah, afternoon, sometime in the afternoon.
No, at night, late.
Okay, moving right along, and we've still got a number of old business things I just want to try to tick off really quickly. Old White Plains Road and Grand Street intersection. This was, as you guys remember, the site of our walking safety assessment that we did in the Washingtonville neighborhood. The report from which I still owe everybody. I have all the feedback and pictures and everything like that. It is just a matter of your chair being way behind on getting stuff written up. So that's on my to-do list. And then
Wait. So do you want me to leave it on?
yes, because it literally is, something that
Yeah,
I owe,
Yeah,
that Shannon knows. Yep.
you'll fill us in. Okay, update us. Okay.
No, write the report. Not even update you. Write
Yeah,
the report.
yeah.
Fenimore and Prospect and Monroe. This again was going to be a scheduled walking assessment that got postponed due to COVID. As I mentioned before, I have through kind of my day job gotten a couple of really cool models for some safely distanced opportunities. I haven't had a chance yet to circle back with Jerry and Tom and other members of the village leadership team to bounce it by them and see if they're comfortable with that. Because, while it's one thing for us, traffic commissioners to raise our hands and say, happy to go and meet you there. We really do, and Larry pointed it out, we need to have the key village partners involved. We need to have law enforcement, someone from the trustees, preferably the village engineer, and if we can, even the traffic safety consultant, because they're the ones that, have the real expertise to be able to give us informed and thoughtful feedback on what ought to be done. So again, if you want to leave that on the list, Lucia, just in terms of, Shannon to speak with Jerry about,
Okay.
possible COVID models for walking assessments so that we can get this one started again.
Okay. Jerry. Okay, next.
Cool. Fenimore Road, 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. And is Kelly on the call right now?
Well, I spoke to Matt about this.
Yep.
Carly, Matt. And he said there's no reason why we couldn't do it. He actually thought it's something we should look at doing. So I can follow up with him on that.
You're gonna follow up with, you'll follow up with?
Yeah, no, I emailed
Harmony.
him the day after our last meeting, and I said it's been an interesting last week. So
Yeah. No, and I remember last meeting we had the county executive with us for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Which was kind of neat. So and part of that was, and you guys heard it, right? He said, give me a list, anything you need on county roads, and this was one of those where we were like, is it a county road? Isn't it? And in the end, it's not. So it's something that we have jurisdiction over, and I think that's a really exciting opportunity. Okay, cool. Man, we are cruising now. All right, Southbury Avenue stop sign at Southbury and Guion Drive.
Okay, so with that, given that it's been kind of recent, I have not gotten any information on that yet. I'm gonna wait another month. Did you hear me?
Oh, I think we lost you, Karen.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep. Now we get you.
So given that it just got up recently, that's God, I can't even think of the right word right now. Anyway, and I'm at a loss.
yeah, the
Since
speed
it just, thank you. Since it went up, I'm gonna wait one more month and then talk with the police to see where they're at with the speeds.
Okay, right. You guys had the variable speed detector located
That's
there.
it.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's still in process, and Karen's
It's
got
in
the
process.
oh boy, this one is big and near and dear to my heart. The Washingtonville Waverly Avenue Bridge project. And I know that the consultant who developed the plan for this received our comments. Thank you, Alana, for taking lead on that. Dan, what's going on? What are the next steps?
So, well, the consultant was going to meet with the owner of the building, which houses Arctic Glacier, last Tuesday. For obvious reasons, that didn't happen.
Right.
So they're rescheduling that to talk about how the traffic detour will work once the bridge goes out of service. We have a a monthly meeting. The town of Mamaroneck, the village of Mamaroneck, and the consultant from HVEA.
Yep.
And our next meeting is scheduled for the third Wednesday, which will be the 19th. So I'll have a draft agenda, and I can, give you an update on what's discussed at the meeting.
But nothing's happening anytime quick.
No, I mean, they're still in the, when you worked with DOT, did you ever work with the local? Okay, so this is a locally administered financial aid, federal aid project. It's a very detail-oriented process.
Environmental reviews, the whole nonsense, yeah.
So they, for lack of a better term, they're still going through the intellectual exercise portion of it.
Okay. That's good news. I mean,
let me also remind everybody that not 50 yards away from Waverly Avenue is the Center Avenue crosswalk.
Yep.
And which is a great alternative anyway, and which in the plans for the bridge renovation, they've already indicated that they're going to repave, and it really takes the place of Waverly Avenue excellently for any pedestrians or bikers, and it's constantly being used. I'm there all the time, and it completely could replace Waverly Avenue as pedestrian and bicycle walk.
But to be certain,
to a certain degree, for sure.
Yeah,
And I think that
Yeah.
think that residents who live on Waverly Avenue would say, well, but gee, I want to be able to walk straight across as well.
so, but to be certain, the design as it's currently proposed
Mhm.
will have sidewalks on both sides of the bridge.
Excellent. That's really great news. Yeah, no, I mean, to the best of my understanding, I think the great concern is, the potential for increased truck traffic through the local roadways. And I think that that's, a valid concern. These are super cozy, narrow residential roads, and there's already, boy, talk about parking issues, like.
We already do prohibit truck traffic in Washington, though. That's already posted. That's been that way for decades, I imagine.
It's always been an enforcement
preceding me.
It's an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
Correct. You're right, Larry.
So what is it? So Dan, we're gonna wait for you?
So
I mean, like I said,
Dan's going to continue to keep us apprised. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have, I can do is I do a monthly report on the bridges for the board, because we have several active bridge projects in the village right now, and I don't want to waste Shannon's time in the next 7 minutes. So
Right.
I can make sure you see a copy of that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, sir. Number 8, visibility issues while turning onto Halsted. Now, is this the intersection that was Jefferson and Halsted?
Well, I took this one as a champion last time. There was not a specific as to which street it is, but
oh boy,
from Carvel to Chico's, it is very difficult to pull out onto Halsted from virtually every street. So I actually asked my teenage son if him and his friend would go and measure, where are, there's a lot of signs that says no standing here to corner. Some streets have it, some streets don't. So I thought it would be very interesting just to look and see, where are the utility poles? Where are the signs that say no parking here to corner? I'm not sure who asked for this or what street it was, but I think it's pretty much a universal issue on Halsted.
Is there any way, and Kelly is not on with us right now, is she? No. So, Dan, I'm sorry to put this on your shoulders, but is there any way to get back to the original request, the original complaint?
I think there were, I'm just trying
Yeah,
to
I
refresh
do.
my recollection. Oh, go ahead, Lucia.
I'm sorry, Dan, I have it right here.
Oh, perfect.
To go look at the shrubs, to see if anything can be taken care of, having them cut down the shrubs on the corner there.
There's a lot of shrubs and a lot of corners. Did they give you the cross street?
No, it just says while turning onto Halsted Avenue.
Oh,
Almost every corner has shrubs, and they're all it's a problem almost on every street.
no, and that was the very first walking safety assessment we did, and we identified foliage as a recurring issue, and mostly private property stuff, right? So it's not, like it's a park where like, oh, we need to get the village in here and trim these trees. No, it's people whose hedges are, jutting out over the sidewalks or jutting out into corners and things like that.
So what I'm going to do right now is send an email to the acting building inspector and one of our code enforcement officers, see if they can just do a run along Halsted.
Little
to-
sweep
Yeah.
along Halsted.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect, Dan. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
And then I can look, while they're doing that, I'll look to see if I have anything else.
Okay.
Through my notes.
We got 2 more old business things to touch on, and then it's almost 8 o'clock and I've got to get on another call here. All right. 427 East Boston Post Road crash report, not the A word. Can anyone remember what this was about?
Yes, I was trying to follow up on this. This is the one legal parking space on East Boston Post Road in front of the Dunkin' Donuts,
Oh, okay.
or actually between the Dunkin' Donuts and the Mamaroneck Diner.
Okay.
And so I sent a email to the gentleman who filed the report asking us to, who was the manager, I believe, of the Dunkin' Donuts, and invited him to come to the meeting tonight. I don't know, Dan, if he is here or not.
We
Four
have 4 attendees. Mr. Betzig, I recall from the last meeting. Paula Rizzo. Paula does not sound like a man's name. As an Anthony Corelli, I don't know if he, I can't recall he made the last meeting, or see the gentleman you reached out
Hold
to.
on, let me check the notes. I think that's him. Hold on.
While Lucy is checking her notes, folks, can I have?
No, I have a little more on it.
Right. No, I just want to be preemptive here because I do have to go chair another meeting at 8 p.m. Can I have someone volunteer to take over kind of facilitating the agenda for me?
Elena.
Is that a nomination?
I think that
I'm
was.
happy to
Sounds like
help.
one.
Elena, I'll
You've been-
only vote for you if you don't go another hour and a half.
I think you've been. I think
You
you've
get a
been.
half an hour to wrap it up, Alana.
I mean, you know.
Somebody else
been-
better take it.
You've been voluntold with caveats, Alana.
All right. Okay, Larry.
I
Let's
really
speed it up.
appreciate your help, lady. No, appreciate that so much. And I also really, and I know folks kind of rolled their eyes a little bit at this, but I promise you, we are going to get to 1 hour meetings because, especially the old business, keeping it on here is great. And I think it's good for us to stay accountable and stay on top of where things are. But
Start on time.
But being respectful of folks' time is also equally important to me, including the residents who spend their evenings to show up. So I just so appreciate all of you. So David, take it away. And if I quietly slip off, forgive me, folks. I am going to, go ahead and try to coordinate that date for the English Park visit. And we'll take a close look at all the new business that just came up this month and throw in my 2 cents.
Okay.
Okay, so the other thing I did was I filed a FOIA request with the police for all crashes or incidents for 427 East Boston Post Road. That turned into 405 to 427 East Boston Post Road. And the response from the police department was 15 pages. I'm not going to share it with you here. But over the past 5 years, there was, I think, 6 or 7 different incidents of crashes, but none of them involved this parking space or cars making right turns out of the Mamaroneck Diner parking lot. They were all incidents within the Mamaroneck Diner parking lot or cars making left turns out of the Mamaroneck Diner parking lot. None of them had anything to do with the Dunkin' Donuts driveway either. So there's no relevant incident reports for 427 East Boston Post Road or this one legal parking space on East Boston Post Road.
Okay, so what are you proposing, David?
I'm not proposing anything. I'm just reporting what I found out.
Okay, so what did they ask? Did they ask to remove the parking spot? Can you remind us?
Correct.
And so you're just saying it doesn't seem like there's much reason to remove it, or?
If I was asked, that's what I would say, yes.
Okay. Does anybody else want to weigh in? Okay. All right, so then, David, did you talk to the man who requested it? Is that right?
I sent him an email and I told him that we had tabled it until this month's meeting and invited him to come and speak at the meeting as we would be taking it up again.
Okay. So if nobody has any comments on it, then, David, maybe just let them know that because there were no accidents, that unless he wants to come and speak, he'd be welcome to put it in context, if it's something that we're not aware of. I think we kind of have to hear from him why we should get rid of it if seems like there's no reason. Is that right?
Okay.
I think that's a good idea. If it's important enough for him to mention it, he should maybe participate with it and personally involve himself a little bit.
Is that all right?
Sounds good.
Let's just check. He's not here. If you're here, raise your hand. I don't think he's here, is he?
Dave, what's his name? David?
I'm looking it up.
Oh, okay.
Or if somebody has the incident report, I don't see it in the packet.
Yeah, I didn't see it there either. That's why.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next issue while we're waiting on that. Although
Daniel Cheroval.
Okay. All right. So just let him know. We're open to hearing from him, but there's no context around it right now.
So you want me to leave it on here, or what do you want to do? Just wait, see if he shows up next month?
I think take it off unless he shows up, and then we'll put it back on again.
Okay.
David, did you have the Center Avenue issue also?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, Lucia.
Yes, I sent an email to you and Alana. So the resident is okay with just one handicap parking spot in front of her building. Her and her husband are both handicapped. They have handicap permits. They have a driveway, but their landlord parks their trucks and cars in the driveway. So she says that they're both have walkers, and so she would like 2 spots, but she would take 1 if she could.
Okay, do you guys remember where this place was?
I remember this.
Yeah. So I did call her. I sent her an email last week, and then she called me the next day. So
is there a spot for it where she wants it?
it's right in front of her house.
Okay.
Can you bring it up?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right now. Hang on a sec. Let me just put this.
Yeah,
up
because
here.
we looked at it last month.
Yeah.
Oh, and she did throw in there that her son is a Mamaroneck cop.
Smart lady. Smart lady.
She
for
said,
her.
actually, we were talking, and then she left me a message. She said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, my son is a Mamaroneck cop." I'm like, okay, that's good to know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Center Avenue. I don't remember.
Right, so
I think it was right over here.
it was 339.
Oh, 339. Let me just put that in.
Yeah, if you can put that, you'll see. You'll see, because we saw it at the last month's meeting.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's in
there
the
it is,
industrial
there it
area, right?
It's probably the only residential building on that
Yeah,
block.
it's probably, you're right.
Yeah.
It probably is.
Yeah, and there were cars parked there. She said it's just so difficult for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, it's probably a big issue during the day. At night and on the weekends, probably not so much.
Yeah, you're right.
We've done this before where if someone has an issue with having a flat grade to get into their house if they're handicapped or if they
Right.
don't have a driveway. We've done this before.
Okay.
Does
I mean,
somebody,
it's a little rare, but we have done it.
okay.
I had a question, and I'm not this is not about this particular space or whether we should do it or not, but is there any mechanism that whereby when the people are either not living there or not needing the handicap space anymore, where we remove the handicap space?
Yeah, that's good.
That's
Yeah, I
a
think-
really good question.
Yeah, I mean, what we have, in my recollection, I think we've done it twice in the last 10 years. I would just have to follow up. It's so limited that, what would wind up probably happening is once they were no longer a tenant there, the new tenant would say, by the way, we don't need the handicap space anymore.
And you'd probably wait for the landlord to come and request a removal,
Yeah,
probably.
but I mean, we don't just, we don't keep that type of data on residents of the village. We don't, it would be
It's probably not a bad idea. It's probably not a bad idea to have a handicap spot there anyway, because it's probably impossible to find parking. So if there was somebody who was handicapped,
Yeah.
it would
And
probably.
the thing about a handicap space is anyone with the proper permit can park there. That's,
Right.
we're not gonna make it a distinction.
That was the question at the last meeting. Do they have permits? It turns out that they do.
They do, they both do, they both have them on their cars. And like she said, she'd be happy with one.
So is this a very expensive thing to do, Dan?
Not really. I mean, essentially it's, once the board establishes the local law, or sorry, as the space, we have to do a code 53. Everyone has to mark out the utilities. We have to, paint it properly, sign it properly. I mean, it's a process that could take, like a month or so, just because of everything we have to go through. But it's,
It's doable.
assuming we're able to also get out there, before it gets too cold to paint, which 90-degree day sounds a little, callous, but we're only a couple of months away from
Yeah.
cold weather. again.
I think this looks like a really cumbersome neighborhood that must be very difficult to park in. So I would assume somebody who has a handicap, this would be just a nightmare for them. So I'm kind of leaning toward it, but I'd like to know everybody else's.
Me too.
I have no problem with it at all.
Me three.
Let them have it.
Let 'em have it.
Does somebody want to make a resolution or propose? David, do you have any comments?
I'll make the resolution that we asked, if we can have Dan look into asking the board if it's possible to put a handicap spot in front of 339 Center. Is that
I'll
okay?
second.
Yep. Is there a second?
I'll
Or does
second.
anybody want to discuss it? I'm sorry. Does anybody want to discuss it?
No, you get a second first, then you
A
just.
second person. Okay. This Larry will second it,
No.
and then is there a discussion?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 I'm in favor. Aye.
Dave?
I said aye.
Oh, okay.
We're all in favor, so it passes.
Passed, okay. All right, so what I'll do is, I will email her and tell her that, so Dan, so you have to check with the Board of Trustees next?
Yeah, it'll have to be adopted by resolution of the board. The next
Okay.
regular meeting of the board is September 10th or September 14th, September 14th.
Okay, so, all right, so,
Yeah.
and then it'll take,
Yeah. so-
remember her son's a cop. I'm a Mamaroneck one, no less.
Well, we're not in
No,
PBA
I-
negotiations right now, so I'm
No, I know that. I'm only kidding. It was funny when she left me that message, though. I
That
was
is
like,
funny. Okay, so I think that's it for the old business, right?
yes.
We have the street light between 4th Street and Franklin Avenue.
Street light. Oh, that's right. That was old business. We didn't talk about that, did we?
Right.
Not a street light, a stop sign, right?
It was a street light.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the lighting? But didn't we decide that we weren't going to get involved with lighting issues?
Oops.
I think that's right. Was anybody championing that one?
I was,
I was.
Okay.
And so I agree with Larry that we don't get involved in lighting. And I thought I remembered that Dan said he was going to go look at it, but I could be wrong on that.
no,
I sent
I-
an email to April Tuno, who was the complainant on this, and told her that we had taken up her request for a street light in 533 4th Street, and that we didn't have enough information, and I invited her to attend this meeting to present the situation more fully and explain why it was a problem. And
Yeah, I took it off the agenda because Larry and somebody sent an email saying we don't get involved in that.
Yeah, David, you agreed with me on that. I mean,
Yeah.
something that should go straight to DPW.
Okay.
Okay, so we know where we're at with that.
Yeah, so we took it off. I told Elaine it was done, that, exact thing I said, and she took it off the agenda, so.
So,
I'll follow up with DPW.
okay, that sounds
Yeah.
good. All right, so then we're on to new business, right? Is there anything else, old business, that we missed? Okay, so it looks like new business. It says Park Ave and English Place incident report. I think
Yeah.
that might be, is that something new?
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah,
Oh, Park in English is your issue.
Yeah.
yeah, but they
That's
sent, they sent it again.
Okay, actually, Paula Rizzo, you're on the call. Do you want to
Yeah.
weigh in? Is she there? Are you still there, Paula? Yes?
I
Okay,
thought
great.
Paula
She's
Ri-
there. Can
Paula
you let her?
Rizzo was Franklin in English, not Park in English.
Okay, she's here. Let's let her just kind of give us some context around this issue.
Yeah, she-
Hi.
Hi.
Paula?
Hi. Sorry, my camera's not working,
Oh, that's okay.
but you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I submitted some pictures. I mean, it's really hard to get the full effect from the way the pictures were, but the reason I like stop signs at both corners is because I live on North Wagner. And I don't know if you're familiar with the street, but it comes off of Halsted. It is a one-way and it loops around, and cars come flying around the turn with low visibility. And then they don't have any reason to stop because there's no stop signs when they hit English Place, and they just fly out turning right onto English. Now, that is a dead end English Place. So there are children playing, and there's also a house that lives on that dead end where cars come out of. So cars could come out of there and they're going to hit head on. There's also tons of children. And then the other street that lets out to almost the exactly same place, Franklin to English Place, also does not have stop signs. So they come flying down that hill. So two cars flying down at one time, they're going to go head on. And my children ride bikes along with all the neighborhood children. And there's been multiple times that they've had to skid on their bikes and fall to miss a car coming flying out of North Wagner.
Okay. So I'll tell you, I think we should add this on to the English and Park Avenue walking assessment. It's funny that you're here today because were you listening in when we were talking about the corner of Park and English right here?
Yeah, I was actually frustrated because I was here last time also
Yeah.
for that. So if I was the neighbors that live down there, I would have been a little bit frustrated that there's not a stop sign.
Paula, let me ask you something. How long have you been living on North Wagner?
I've lived on North Wagner for 2.5 years, but I lived in Rhinebeck my whole entire life.
All right, because, I have one of my best friends lives at the corner of English and Franklin for 40 years. And I spoke to them last night, and they completely have no problem with the way things are right now. They've never seen an accident.
Right. Well,
An
can I
incident is there. Now,
Sorry
I
about
think
you.
what your issue is people speeding down North Wagner. That's your issue.
Well, it's both, to be honest. But the reason, I don't know who your friend is, but the people that live at the corner of English and my street, North Wagner, they come onto the one way, the wrong way to get into their driveway multiple times a day, almost hitting me going head on.
Yeah, I know those people also. She used to work.
So, there's tons of issues, and a stop sign would eliminate any head-on collisions of cars, any pedestrian accidents, and any speeding, because the cars would have to stop.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you go down English to North Wagner, there are no signs indicating that it's a one-way street coming into English, right?
There are two giant signs.
Are there? Because I
And
never
people
noticed.
just ignore them.
All right. But I've never heard, and none of my friends in that neighborhood have ever heard of any accidents happening there because of the fact that Franklin tees into English. You have to slow down to make a left or a right.
But they don't slow down.
It ends into the tracks. North Wagner also tees into English. There's only one way you can go, to the right, because to the left of the Metro North track.
Right. So the problem with that is there's people walking and there are other cars on that dead end because people park down there, and there's also a house down there, and there's tons of children in this area. So because there's no stop sign, when people drive down North Wagner, because there's no stop sign, they don't even slow down. They don't look left. All they do is look where they're going, which is right, like you said.
I know. I'm very familiar with that.
And I am an adult.
You know, people don't use North Wagner and Franklin to bypass Halsted. It's just a neighborhood. These are just small neighborhood streets. And if you have any issues, deal with your neighbors probably.
Well, the problem is the neighbors don't slow down. I've asked them, and there's a building. There's a building at the beginning of my street where there is lots of people living, and you can't trust them. And there's plenty of issues that a stop sign would fix, and it wouldn't take away parking. And the only thing it would do is make people slow down and stop for 2 seconds. You know,
putting a stop sign at the end of North Wagner is not going to slow people from speeding down North Wagner.
No, that's another issue.
That's not going to solve your problem.
Well, they're gonna have to slow down to stop at the stop sign.
If you read the incident report, she says, you know, children on bikes have fallen from swerving to get out of the way for being hit. And also,
Larry, let her finish, Larry.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are many car collisions, as there is also not a stop sign. So, you know, we can get an incident report. I think if we're going to be there anyway, it's a quick, you know, extra stop to take a look at English.
And there's also someone else on this call who lives on English, on the corner of English and Franklin, and he experiences the same issues I am because he's on that corner. And the fact that there's no stop sign on North Wagner or Franklin, he is having people fly around that corner and just fly out that street because they're not stopping.
Okay, does he want to weigh in also?
It's up to him. Anthony Corelli is his name.
Anthony, do you want to weigh in? Just raise your hand if you want to. Dan, do you see it?
He has, oh, there he goes.
Okay.
So all you do is unmute Mr. Corelli. Yeah.
If you'd like to weigh in, feel free, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I live on the corner of English and Franklin. So I see most people that are speeding. They come down the hill on Franklin, and there's, really only one way to go there, which is make a left onto English. And it just goes back to what Paula was saying. They know which way they're going. And it's just kind of like a coast right through. They don't look. They just go right through. My daughter's on a bike, sometimes with with the other neighborhood kids, and it does pose a threat to them. You know, there's a lot of kids on the block now.
Okay. So, how do you guys feel about adding this on to the English Place walking assessment that we're going to do?
I think that's a good idea.
Do you like that idea?
I agree.
Okay, so Paula and Anthony, what we're going to do is within the next month, hopefully, the Traffic Commission is going to walk that area. And I will, if you want to email me your information, I have Paula. Paula, I have your email. I'll email you. And if you want to add Anthony or any other neighbor who'd be interested in joining us, just let me know, okay?
Perfect. And I just have a question. I'm fine with you guys adding it, and I appreciate that. But going back to, I think what Larry was saying about it being a speeding issue, he was correct. So what would I propose to that if he doesn't feel the stop sign's going to eliminate that? What does he think would fix that?
I don't know.
Have a speed bump?
No, they won't. They won't install speed bumps in the village.
Right, that's what I was told. That's why I figured a stop sign would get them to slow down because they have to.
I was a bus driver for the town, and that was part of my route, North Wagner to English. And It's hard. I mean, I know it's a downhill slope on North Wagner. It's very tight, though. It's not that easy to speed down there. If there are people speeding down there,
It's not very tight street, actually.
it's
It
kind of,
used to be a two-way years ago.
yeah, but it's tight, you know, with cars parked on both sides. It's not a wide open street. So I find it hard to speed down there myself. But, you know, it's neighborhood people. It's mostly neighborhood people. And
Right, but neighborhood people could kill people
Yeah, I
and like
know, but,
children just as easily as anyone else.
yeah, I know. I don't know. You know,
Okay.
get a flyer out in the neighborhood, you know, encouraging everybody to slow down, beware of the kids, you know.
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
Paula, is there a time of day that you think would be most beneficial for us to come by and take a look?
You know what? Probably like around people arriving home from work or leaving for, you know, that time of day might be best. It's I really just find like I can't even if my kids are outside playing, my kids are older. Like I have a middle schooler and then a younger one, but my middle schooler can't even hang out in the street alone because people fly so fast that I have to physically stand there to slow them down and then move out of their way. So I think that if you stand there long enough to watch one or two cars, there's probably only the end houses that do slow down knowing their children. I got one of the signs that says kids please slow down twice and they've been stolen.
Can I add one more thing to this?
Yep.
It's definitely they're not highly traveled roads, you know, to go back to what you guys were saying. So traffic is sporadic at times, you know, sometimes it's busier than others. You know, so on the kids' part, it is you know, they feel a little bit, you know, safer knowing that there's not a lot of cars, but when that car does come and, you know, they happen to be in the street, it's, you know, it's really quick.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, as they're coming down, as they make that turn, whether it's from North Wagner or from Franklin, it's just a quick thing. And, you know,
Personally, I would put stop signs everywhere. I mean, I know this is such a congested neighborhood. I really would. I mean, I think that, you know, one of the questions maybe Dan, I think it would be interesting to know what is the exact dollar cost of putting up a stop sign, because I was really floored to find out it cost $12,000.
Didn't Shannon say it was
But part of it's
$12,000,
also, you know,
guys?
I think one of the things that Shannon referred to earlier is she called it the MUTCD, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. And that establishes warrants for the scenarios in which the installation of traffic control devices is warranted. For all-way stops, it's typically something like if there are 5 or more accidents in a 12-month period, or there's some incredible issue with the roadway geometry. You know, typically, you know, and I said this the last meeting. I know some people might not like what I'm saying, but stop signs do not slow traffic. There have been dozens and dozens and dozens of studies about this. The average motorist is back up to speed within 150 feet of a stop sign. So, you know, and as Larry mentioned, for the most part on residential streets, it's the residents who are doing the speeding. It's really, it always comes down to enforcement and education. But, you know, as far as the stop signs,
I just don't see what harm putting a stop sign would do.
Well,
It would avoid them from.
It's
you know,
$12,000.
I'm not against stop sign per se, but the stop sign is after the fact already. I mean, if people are speeding down North Wagner and the stop sign is in Wagner in English, it's after the fact already.
Well, that's not the only reason I had wanted it. I wanted it because they're not stopping at that corner, so they whip around it. So if I'm walking home from the park with my children or walking home from a neighbor's house, we have to be very careful. We can't just turn onto that street on foot. We have to go all the way down to the dead end, cross the street, and then walk down, because people turning that corner don't see us. And they fly right to the right because they don't think to look, because there's no reason to look, because there's no reason to stop or anything.
I mean,
So, you know, just to give you an idea for safe walk to school routes, these children are coming to English. This is how they're going to walk to school. They're going to come to English Place. They're going to come to Florence Park, and they're either going to go to Bellows, or they're going to go to Daniel Warren, or they're going to go to the high school. So this is like a throughway for a lot of children, this area here.
Both of my children walk that exact route.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of like the evolving thoughts in, traffic safety are, you want to, a lot of traffic safety initiatives are, it's 90% making people think they're in a different situation than they are. So what you used to see, everyone always, like 30 years ago, they advocated for these, the wide boulevards with, wide travel lanes, parking lanes. It's kind of shifted towards, having more narrow streets, having more vehicles parked on streets. So it presents the motorist with the perspective that they must go slower. That's the type of, it's things like lane markings. There's a lot of.
So what would you suggest? What would you
Well,
suggest? Like,
no, I think you adding it to the, I think what you need to do, I think you hit it on the head, is you have a boots on the ground perspective of what's going on out there first. And then, because that will inform your consideration and your recommendations.
okay. All right. So I don't want to keep everybody anymore, but Paula and Anthony, I will loop you in, and you guys, I hope you could join us for the walking assessment so you could point things out.
Excuse me, and I have a question. Is it possible that an officer go there for, maybe a couple of days a week to just sit there and see what's going on? Maybe start ticketing people, like a speed check?
Ticketing people for what, though? I mean,
I'm sorry?
ticketing people for what? There are no stop signs there.
No, I'm just saying speeding.
The speed limit.
You're not a cop.
Yeah, I know, but you can't go around those turns at 30, 40 miles an hour. Nobody's doing that.
They definitely go around the turns that fast.
No, there's no way you could physically do that from Franklin to English or from Wagner to English. 40 miles an hour? No way. No.
Paula,
What you need to do is have a.
I can do it myself if I wanted to. I choose not to drive. But there's no doubt people are going that fast.
No, there's no way. Well, let me ask you this, Paula. I'm not trying to be cold or anything, just trying to be objective. You think there's an unreasonable expectation from the kids in the neighborhood that the street should be a playground?
I don't think so in the neighborhood. I do think that maybe because that is a dead end that has a basketball net, it does attract more neighborhood kids, making it a hot spot for where children want to play, because dead ends are places that children play.
Right,
So,
no, but I'm talking specifically on North Wagner, not at the end of English Place, on North Wagner.
No, I mean, I can only speak for myself, and my children know street rules. They know not to go in the street, especially my older one. I personally, as a parent, don't even feel safe to let them go off my walkway to get in the passenger side of my vehicle because people fly past my car so fast.
All right, but you're not answering my question. Do you think,
So no, I don't
It's
do you
okay.
think it's unreasonable to, on the part of some parents to, because it's their street, that their kids should be allowed to play in the street as against the park?
No, of course not. Kids should know
Okay,
street
and that-
rules, but my children should be able to. I shouldn't fear that they can't even get in the passenger side car because people do whip around that corner. So not the one with the stop sign, the one from North Wagner coming from Halsted. There's a turn there. Once they make that turn, they are flying. So
Yeah.
if I have to walk into the street to open the passenger side of my car, I'm an adult. I know how to cross the street. I've almost been hit several times. So it's very dangerous how fast they go.
Okay. I mean, I totally hear you. I mean, I live in the same neighborhood, so I've seen similar things. So, I also hear you, Larry, that sometimes kids should not be playing in the streets with the car.
No, it's not only that, but the stop sign at the end of North Wagner is not going to solve the problem of speeding.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look. I don't want to tie everybody up. Anthony and Paula, thank you so much for coming. Is there any other last comment you want to leave us with?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
No, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Orienta Ave, a four-way
Wait.
stop.
Wait,
Yep.
hold on. So
Yep,
we're gonna
okay.
put that
Yep.
on the walking assessment, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna add that to the walking assessment, yeah.
Well,
Okay,
now
and-
you have to turn a walking assessment into a multi-hour issue. It's not just going to be a half an hour by the park. Now it's going to turn into a couple
Another
of hours.
half. No, it's not a couple hours.
Well,
Yeah,
it's gonna, yeah, by the time you get up there,
all right, so we'll worry about that when, so we're just gonna put it on with the walking
you're gonna
assessment.
push me in my wheelchair, Lucia?
Goodbye, Larry.
We're gonna whip you into
Hold on,
shape, Larry.
Hold on, I have
Ain't
a
gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen.
Larry, Larry, Alana, going back to the one, hold on, is, Halsted Avenue, you were supposed to look into that.
Yeah,
It
you know
was-
what? I was, and Sharon put it back on Dan. The Halsted, you mean the Bushes issue? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one turning onto Halsted from the
Yeah.
side streets crossing over.
Yeah. So Dan is gonna,
Yeah,
So
as we were discussing it, I emailed
Okay.
the acting building inspector and a code enforcement officer to,
Okay,
Start
yeah, because
looking
there
at
was a
that.
couple of streets involved.
yeah,
On
so
that.
check out the intersections
Street,
between
yeah.
North Berry and the Harrison border.
Yep, okay, perfect.
awesome,
Okay,
thank you.
that's where I found the notes on it. Okay, good.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Is Orienta Avenue four-way stop. I think we have an incident report, is that right? Let's see. Orienta Avenue, Bleecker, and Greason. I feel like we have talked about this before. Let me just pull this up real quick.
I don't recall it.
No? Okay, let me see.
Yes, we did.
Let's take a look.
Maybe you did last year or the year before.
No, just like a few months ago, I think. Yep, here it is. Okay, so let me just share this. I mean,
I
maybe
thought-
we never got back is the problem. So let's just take a look here. Hang on a second. I'm going to share it with you.
Oriented four-way stop. I think, yes.
Do you remember this? So let me just go out.
Looking at
So,
my old notes.
the post road goes out to Richbell, out to Oriana here. And then this Bleecker, Oriana Avenue and Bleecker. So what are they saying? This is a request to make the intersection of Orienta Ave, Bleecker, Greason Place a four-way stop. At the present time, there is only a stop sign on Bleecker and Greason and not Orienta. Pedestrians and bicycles coming down Orienta have no sidewalk, and the intersection at Bleecker is a crossing point for access to a bike path. There is nothing to break traffic speed between Cove and Skibbo, and traffic goes by at dangerous speeds, particularly for kids needing to cross Orienta at Bleecker. So they're asking for a four-way stop here. First of all, let me ask, is the community member here? Are there any?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is
So,
anybody familiar with this area?
Yes, I am.
No.
I am.
Okay. Do you want to talk to this?
Actually, I agree. I agree with that 100%. Going back many years, again, being a bus driver in the town, in the village, being a school bus driver too, a lot of the schools and the school bus companies use that intersection as a bus stop. And it always surprised me that there wasn't more traffic control at that intersection. And it is a long distance. Skibo is at the end of Orienta Avenue, where it tees into Skibo. And from there all the way down to Cove Road, there is no traffic. Now, the speed limit is 25, but very few of the residents of that area observe 25. I can tell you that for a fact. I have a lot of family in that neighborhood too.
That's why you want the stop sign.
No, I agree that there should be more traffic control at that intersection. Bleecker is heads over to Taylor Lane and the other side of Orienta. It's just a busy intersection, and I don't see a downside to it myself. I'm surprised it even popped up now, but as long as it did, I don't see a downside to it. You might get some pushback from the residents of Orienta who maybe don't want to stop, but I don't see a downside to it.
Okay. So
The-
go ahead.
The possible downsides are, this request is not based on any crashes. So
Right.
it's a speed and enforcement issue. So you have the other thing that Dan talked about earlier, which is that the stop signs don't slow the traffic down for any appreciable amount of time. And then, of course, you have the cost of the stop signs.
Well, there is one stop sign already on Grecian going into Orienta. There already is a stop sign. And I believe there's also a stop sign on Bleecker going into Orienta, if I'm not mistaken. So the only issue would be on Orienta Avenue itself.
Right. So there's a lot less risk of a crash here because of those stop signs. It's more of an enforcement issue, which we don't get involved with. And that would be the reason not to put up a stop sign to slow
Okay,
down.
and I would argue that the reason to put up a stop sign is because it's like a freeway. I mean, it's like there's no break from really.
Well, down the Cove.
Post Road. Is there any?
There's a stop sign at Cove Road. If you back up, there's a stop
Right here,
sign at Cove.
right there? Oh, there's one right there.
Right.
There's one at
Yeah.
Cove. Okay. So they're saying that they want it here so that kids can cross the street on their bikes. I mean, it looks like a great place for a crosswalk. You know, it's like a 4-way intersection and kids are going to be heading onto a bike trail, it said. So maybe, you know, since David is concerned about the crash data, is that something we want to get? And we'll talk about this again next week, next month?
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
David, do you have a contact at the police department where you could just quickly email them and get the crash data?
No, they only respond to FOIA requests.
If David sends it to me, I can make sure we get the information.
Okay, so
You
Dan,
send the
we'll
request
get,
to me, I'll make sure we.
okay, David, can you do that? Send it to Dan?
Okay.
Thanks a
Hey,
lot.
Dan,
Thank you.
we forgot to mention, could we get crash data for English and North Wagner also?
Yeah, just send me an email and I'll forward it to the PD.
All right.
Can you do that, Larry?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks.
So what are we gonna do? We're gonna do, get an accident report? Incident report?
Yeah,
For Orienta, right?
for the corner of Orienta and Grecian, Orienta and Bleecker at Grecian Point Road, right?
Right, the four ones, okay.
Yep.
And what's the other one Larry's gonna get?
Larry's gonna
I'm
get
just
it
gonna
for
ask Dan to get one for the last issue we dealt with, which was
North Wagner
and English.
and English Place, yeah.
Okay, all right. And who's gonna, Larry's gonna do the first one and Dave's gonna do the.
I'm just gonna
Orienta?
request Dan, that's all. I'm just
Oh,
gonna-
okay, perfect.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so we'll put that on for next month. And then, okay, so stop sign at North Wagner English Place, we talked about that. So then speeding concern at Taylor Lane and Shadow Lane. Is there anybody on the call who requested that item?
Yeah,
Any-
that's Mr. Betzing.
Okay, why don't we have you, Mr. Betsy, just weigh in on the speeding concern at Taylor Lane and Shadow Lane?
Yeah, he just needs to unmute himself and he'll be able to speak.
You want to move the map, Alana, up to
Yeah,
Taylor
let me
Lane?
do that.
Yeah, it's
Let me
the
do
other
that.
end of Bleecker. Yeah.
Mr. Betzing, can you unmute? Oh,
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, finally we got to me.
Sorry about that.
But it sounds like it's all the same issues, speeding, right? Is it all speeding? And if you look at the map, Taylor's Lane is a complete runway because you have the field that's empty, the meadow, Taylor's Lane field, and you come down. I've been living here since 2001, I think. And it is incredible how many cars speed down this road. And they turn left onto my road, which is 7 houses, and they have no unabashed, they just go flying down. I yell and scream. Now that I'm working from home every day, I yell and scream every day. I swear, it's like incredible.
Go back to work. Go back to work.
I really hate this home office thing because this drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that's, the village has to be proactive because speeding is speeding. That's all I heard on every instance, right? Every incident you guys were talking about up until now. And so how do you slow it down? How do you make this a little better? And
Hey,
by
John,
the way, it's a lot of kids.
John, you know yourself, in your neighborhood and in the neighborhoods we just visited, it's the residents that are speeding.
I lived on Florence Street. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about, English.
The
I
residents.
mean, it's incredible. So how do you slow them down? I had all the signs out. They stole
You
them.
shame them.
Like I try, but it just doesn't work. And I'm
Publicly
afraid that
shame
somebody,
them.
yeah, well, it's very difficult because they just kind of almost give you the finger when they're flying by.
Almost. Gosh, and that,
Yeah.
you're in a very civilized part of
Yeah, because I think Taylor's Lane is a complete runway. We had the mayor here, my neighbor and I, 2 years ago, trying to get the meadow cleaned up, and he almost got hit by a minivan. He stepped back. He goes, "Oh, maybe we should get speeding bumps."
Yep.
Mr. Tom Murphy.
Well,
And so
unfortunately, we can't get
so I don't
those.
know how we figure this out. And hearing the cost, $12,000 for a stop sign. You know what? I'll do it for half the cost.
Wow.
But like, why is it $12,000 for a stop sign?
Yeah.
Maybe a
That's the
passive speeding
question.
bump. What about a passive speeding bump? I was in Yorktown. My sister-in-law lives in York. Hey, it's passive speeding bumps. You can still go 20 miles an hour. But you
I
can't
think it
go
has
80.
to do with the snow removal trucks when there is a snow.
Well, passive speeding bumps, you can actually deal with that. They're really passive. They're not like a speeding bump when you're driving into a shopping center. They're very passive. And it's got to be a way to, I mean, I'm losing my lungs yelling at people. And I'm not like, I don't like to bark a lot unless it's a mess. I pay a lot of taxes and the field next to me is a mess. That's not your problem. But whatever, it's something has to be done because this is also a lot of kids walking. You got the high school right here. You got Daniel Warren. Everybody's walking and it's a very windy road, Shadow Lane, and people are coming off of Shadow. I actually see people going down from the Post Road down Taylor's Lane. They'll turn around by Colonial Court, get up their engines and tear ass up toward the Post Road. It's insane. I don't really understand how this can be. And Bernie McNally, who's a friend of mine, he's a detective he goes, John, we can't do anything. We sit there, we can't do anything.
Why can't they do anything? Why can't they do anything?
What about a radar detector? Can't do it.
Can they?
Right?
Can they ticket people? Can't people get tickets? I mean,
But
I'll
how are
tell
you going to catch them? How are you going to catch them?
My
Larry,
beef,
how are you going to catch them?
I don't know.
I mean, can't you just put on your siren and like follow them?
I don't have a siren.
I mean, I think that we should. I guess my beef with this community, it's like the friendly to a fault village.
Right,
People,
and I'm not.
there
I'm like
needs to be
I try and push and push
credibility.
and push, and I can't get anywhere.
So,
Literally.
I'll tell you, whenever this kind of situation comes up, what we would normally say is we'll put the speed dummy there. So I don't know if you've seen those electronic speed warnings.
They have them on They have them on Rushmore. Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's a natural first step on either.
I would love that. Let me tell you.
Okay, so where would you put that? Where would you put that? Because it's
That is a great question. Because if you want me to add to this, as you come, if you have your map up,
yeah. Do you see
as
it?
you come, if you take a left on Taylor's, I'm on my little cell phone. I gotta take my glasses off. Yeah. So right as you come in further, right, a little further, there's a bend with no street light, and that's DPW's problem. And there's woods right there. I'm watching drug deals go on. I actually walked up the other night and told some kids to get away, and they said it's a public road. I go to your parents' public road. And I'm watching shit go back and forth between the windows.
You got to call the police when you see that. We had the same thing over here. If you call the police.
So I'm like, it's like, what the heck is going on here? I wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were to put that speed trailer on Taylor's Lane, really the only place you could put it would be on the west side by the field.
Right.
You can't put it on the other side because it's just the pond.
Well, that's private. I think that's private land over there.
Yeah,
It's pond.
And
so did you want the speed trailer on Shadow Lane or on Taylor Lane?
Anywhere I think if you slowed people down on Taylor's Lane, it would be a big start for Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it as my personal opinion, if you put it out there, it would have more utility on Taylor's Lane.
I think so too, because that's where they ramp up.
Yeah, but Shadow Lane, there's only
7 houses.
Homes. Yeah, it's
7 houses.
Yeah, it would be lost on the neighbors over there.
And it would slow down the cut through. It would slow down the cut through. There's probably 80 to 100 cars now, post-COVID. Pre-COVID, it was 150 cars a day. And there's so many kids walking here. When school was in session, I used to be like, oh my God, that kid's going to get run over.
Yeah. So you know what we'll do? I'll request to the chief that we put the speed trailer on Taylor's Lane next. It does count. It does like take measurements of the speed. So it'll give us.
Does
some
it do
data.
traffic counts too, or is it just?
Yeah.
It does both. It does
Yeah.
speed and traffic.
If you
Yeah,
can
I
convince
I
the
just think
mayor
that as a proactive measure, I think it'll be very, very good for the village of Mamaroneck.
Okay. So I believe we have 2 trailers. One is on Guidon Road right now, and maybe we
And
can
Barry.
ask and Barry, yeah. And the second one we can ask for on Taylor's Lane. So we'll do that as a start. Just so you know, the reason why they don't do the speed bumps is because of the snow plows, I guess, right, Dan?
Yeah, but I think, but Dan, doesn't the passive speed bumps, like they're like so passive? I mean, I don't know. But I'm not a DOT guy, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think of the traditional bumps. And
No,
you know,
no.
the fire department has issues with it. And then, you know, it tears the plows to hell during
Right.
the winter.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that
You know, the
sound
other
for a
thing-
start?
I think it's a tremendous start. I'm glad you guys are listening, and I'm glad I got on the docket.
Yeah, so then if you want, so let's do that for a month. And then if you want to come back and just let us know how it's going, or if there's additional things you'd like to talk about, just, you know. get
Yeah,
back-
I'm happy to. I'm happy to help you guys wherever I can.
Great. If you want to be on the traffic commission, we have 1 spot open too. So
Oh, do you? What does that involve?
this.
a lot of speeding around.
Be careful
It's a
what you wish
3-hour
for.
commitment once a month.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, Larry. Larry.
Alana, whose spot is it?
In fact, if anybody listening wants to be on the traffic commission, we have a spot open. You just have to email the board and trustees.
No,
And
whose spot is open?
it was who left? Trying to think.
Shannon left. No, just kidding.
No.
I'm kidding. She just left early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
I'm not
correct
sure,
me
but I
if
know
I'm
they're-
wrong, but they said one of those speed monitors, the wagons, they actually cost about $4,000.
I think it's more than that.
Well, I don't know. Jerry said about $4,000. So
I think there
we
was
could get 3
the wagon
wagons
and
in
then
lieu of 1 stop sign, right, Alana?
Yeah.
And
There you go.
We can put speed monitors all over the village.
Yes.
But do you actually now, David? Do you think that actually will slow people down, or do you think they
Yeah,
go
they
by
do.
and put their finger
They
up?
absolutely do.
They do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we've
Okay.
got past experience with that.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're
good.
they're good. They're good until they take them away and then they start up again, speeding.
What you
Right,
need to
but at
do
least-
Yeah, but Lucia, they're a fraction of the cost of a stop sign. We can put them
Right.
all over the village, right, Dan?
That's true, yeah, but
In lieu of stop signs.
But it may slow things down and make
Right.
people rethink about it. You know, I don't know.
What
Right.
what I actually was told by an officer is that the real way behavior changes is by seeing the presence of the police, meaning there's a
I agree.
real possibility you're going to have a consequence to your action,
Yeah.
which is the worst thing for us, right? Is getting a ticket. Well, actually, is hurting someone or yourself is the worst thing. But
Right.
aside from that, is being issued a citation and your insurance going up, paying a ticket. That
Yep.
said,
Yep.
I
Yeah.
was told by the officer sitting right outside of the Mamaroneck Beach and Yacht Club, because I'm right on Shore Acres
Yep.
and Alder Road, right here at Barry and
My parents lived right over in Shore Acres.
Yeah. So he mentioned to me, he said, talk to the traffic commission about getting, basically having it doesn't have to actually have an officer in the car, but having, a police car there.
That is so funny you say that, because
as a decoy.
we used to go visit my brother-in-law in Stone Harbor, and as you enter Stone Harbor in Jersey Shore, there's an empty police car sitting there, no engine.
That's because even though, word will get around eventually, but it might, for some people, the possibility that they're going to get a citation might slow
Yeah.
them down.
It might slow them down. Absolutely.
That's why I
Well,
said
to Lieutenant DeRusa, she's online
right.
there.
that's why I said 90% of traffic calming measures is psychological in nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree. Like Lucia, when you were talking about picking the kids up at the White Plains and they would always get tickets right there and nobody would speed because they would always get tickets right in that one spot. Wasn't it you who was talking about that?
yeah, going towards.
I mean, I sort of feel like we need some enforcement just to get some
Yes,
muscle
yes.
memory. People won't do it because
But
dogs.
where do the police hide to do that with their?
And we have a
radar
lot
gun?
of police.
I can't tell you where they
Yeah.
police hide.
But where would they hide to be
Oh.
undercover and stealth enough to get a speeding ticket?
Tickets. I don't know.
Um,
All right.
You know, on North Wagner, where would they hide? Nowhere.
You would be
Yeah.
shocked how careless people can be when, even when
That's
there's
right.
police
Yeah.
officers, so.
You don't see them until you get about a car foot away. That's it. Then you're
Yeah.
then right.
Okay, well, just out of respect for everybody, let's quickly move forward. John, thank you so much for
No,
coming.
thank you guys for
Thanks,
listening, and I
John.
appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
So
Bye-bye.
we've got follow-up items. Does anybody want to touch on any of these follow-up items? I noticed Villa Avenue. I drove by and, you know, there's now that no commercial vehicle sign. There was no big bus there anymore, which is really great. And one of the follow-up items just says striping to be done in the spring. Dan, I guess that's you guys.
Yeah, and like I said, I was up there 2 or 3 weeks ago. It had not been done yet.
Yeah, this is all Jerry.
Yeah. North Berry Avenue crosswalk. I drove by North Berry Avenue. It looked like several had been painted, but not all of them. So I don't know if we've gotten to all of them yet.
All right.
Standish, I drove by there. There's no mirror. I wonder if that's. I don't know what the legal issue was. I guess that's Jerry's following up on that.
Yeah. Jerry. Yeah.
Union and Tompkins had not been done.
Jerry said it was going to be done in the spring.
Yeah, but we had Kovic.
What does that have to do with painting a line on the street?
They couldn't do anything.
Dan, would it be helpful if I write you an email with all the painting that needs to be done and you can forward it to the painter?
Yeah, I'll forward to Jerry and have Jerry send it to you.
I'll do that. I'll make an email of all the painting that has to be done, okay?
All right. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave everything on until next month again, and then we'll see from there. Because there is a lot of painting that needs to be done.
Okay.
Okay. What about the Dan, the 827, 829 Underhill? Add another parking space, handicap.
I did not get a chance to drive up there.
Okay.
When I did my drive-through a couple weeks ago. So
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. So I'm going to leave all this. We'll leave it on there then. Leave everything on until.
I mean, Stewart Avenue and Boston Post Road. Had you also, I think this was the issue with making the left turn from Stewart onto Boston Post Road.
It was a right-hand turn.
Oh,
You
is it
couldn't
right-hand
see.
turn?
You can't see to the left is the problem. The cars to the left. If you're on Stewart,
Oh,
the
okay,
cars to the left
okay.
are blocking. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was an issue with the left-hand turn, because I would
No.
just say, I would maybe look at, since you can multiple ways to get off Stewart, maybe look at, making that left-hand turn illegal, but that's not the issue then. Okay.
So I think we were going to get rid of some of the parking to the left of Stewart so that
Yeah, I
people
mean,
can see.
Yeah. Okay, so I talked to Jerry, because my assumption was it was the issue with making the left-hand turns in general, but that's sort of what I was looking at.
No, the issue is just visibility. If you're on Stewart and you look to the left, the cars
You can see
are
it.
blocking your visibility.
Okay. Washingtonville for speed humps. I thought we put the speed wagon out there. And I think didn't we find that there was not a high prevalence of speeding?
Yeah.
We didn't report because of the virus. We
Okay.
haven't.
Oh, we had it out there on Washington. We had it.
We did have it out there, but we never. After that, we never met.
Yeah, but we
Okay.
did get one report, and there wasn't prevalence of speeding.
I don't remember.
We
Maybe
had a
just-
presentation in the
I don't.
in the office, at the conference room. We had a presentation, and we got a graph with the breakdown and the and then David had a good idea of having the machine out there, but not displaying speed, right? And see how the people react to it. You know, kind of like candid camera kind of situation, that's as far as we went. But that was also a good idea, I thought.
It was meant to create a baseline of what people were doing without being told to slow down, to see if once they knew they were being monitored, if it actually helped.
Yeah, without having the actual speed displayed, right?
Yeah, but after that, we never met on it.
Yeah, that's where we ended.
So that's why it's on here still.
Okay.
So that needs to be looked into. All this stuff from the follow-up needs to be addressed still.
Okay.
Right.
The Mount
It's
Pleasant.
5 to 9, Alana.
What's that?
It's 5 to 9.
Okay, so I mean, I do think we have to wrap it up. I think, maybe
Stop
we could
talking,
make,
Larry.
you know what, Lucy, Lucio, maybe what we can do next week or for the next agenda is to assign follow-ups. Because if we can assign them, then people can do them, they could do them as takeaways. Because what happens is we get to them at the end of the meeting and everybody kind of fizzles out and we never address anything.
Yeah, but that's
Hi,
the problem. Guys, and believe me, I understand we want to get done with these meetings fast, but we can't just rush through stuff and within an hour. It's not going to happen. I mean,
I agree.
let us clear up all this stuff and
Okay.
then move forward. That's what,
Okay.
that's,
Do you wanna,
Don't you
said
think
that-
2 hours is enough?
but Larry, you talk so much.
No.
Yes, you do, Larry.
Okay.
You go on.
Relevant information. It's called relevant.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
on that note, I think I'm gonna go see my kiddos.
okay, so
I love it.
Really,
okay,
that's-
here's a suggestion. Does everybody have 10 minutes tonight or people need to get off the call?
Whoever
I-
needs to go off, say
I-
goodbye.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm kind of needing to, yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
All right,
Bye.
so
Thank you.
Karen, if you want to hop off, that's fine.
But just tell me what you would like me to do and assign me
Okay.
something and I'll work for you, girl.
Okay, that sounds good. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to just go down the list and if it's a painting issue, we'll skip it. If it's not, we'll assign it to one of us for follow-up.
And here's what I'll do.
Okay.
All the patent issues, I will email Jerry.
Oh,
Is that
awesome.
okay, Dan?
Yes, that's awesome. So
Dan, is
let's
that
just go.
okay? See you?
No, Jerry's fine. You can see.
No, I'll send it to Jerry and I'll CC you. How's that?
Okay, no, thank you.
I'll
Okay.
take care of
So
that. All the
let's
paint,
just go down a list. Villa Ave, just put a P for paint.
that's for me.
Yeah, North Berry, crosswalk P for paint. Standish Place mirror. Does anybody remember what the Standish Place issue was?
Yes, yes, they want a mirror on the telephone pole on Halsted Avenue. It's in legal. Jerry keeps saying it's in legal.
Well, that would be Harrison Avenue.
Harrison,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
It's in legal. They can't do it. He said it's still, this was way back when.
Okay, so we can skip that one, right?
I can email him on that too if you want.
Okay, that's awesome. Definitely email him.
Okay.
Okay, so then the next one is Union and Tompkins P for paint. So we'll skip that one. Glint Remus, crosswalk and traffic light not in sync at Fenimore and West Boston Post Road. Further explanation from Hermione.
He was supposed to get back to us for a couple of months already. I mean,
Right.
going back to December.
Right, but we had the COVID also.
So, well, Hernani now works for Westchester County. So maybe I can talk with Matt Carmody about this.
Okay, so Dan, do you want me to email you that?
Yeah,
And Matt?
because I don't know what they
Okay.
mean, the traffic light is not. in
Well,
sync. Yeah.
no, you know what, Dan, just real quick, the traffic light doesn't, it's a lot of pedestrian traffic, a lot of kids going into Harbor Island at that point for ball games, softball, soccer, etc. And the light is not timed and the crosswalk is not timed properly with the rest of the post road or whatever the issue is. It's something like that. But the
Also-
last report we got on that was that the state said they would not do it. They actually said they couldn't do it.
Okay, yeah, I'm not aware of that, but I can,
Yeah.
if
you check
there's
with the
information
county.
you guys can send me, I'll take a look at it.
No, we
Okay,
did get a
I'll
report.
email it to you. If that in fact is the case, then we'll just take it off the list, but let's
Yeah,
just
I mean,
give it one more.
Yes,
And
it
we'll
is,
go through.
it's the state DOT is responsible for that signal.
Yeah, they said they wouldn't do it. They
Okay.
can't do it.
Okay, all right. I will email you and just let Lucia know to take it off if it's a non-issue. Okay, 827/829 Underhill Ave at St. Vito's. Add one handicap parking space in front of the church. Stewart and Boston Post, move parking sign back 2 spots. Whatever happened with that?
Nothing.
Oh, you guys been discussing it.
We did, yeah, but again, Larry, the COVID came.
Okay, so I think, you know
It was-
what, Dan, because we're doing the handicap spot at,
Was that an official recommendation from the commission? Do you have the date do you recall when that was recommended?
voted on.
20 years ago. No.
I mean, I don't know at this point, it's so far back.
Yeah,
You know,
so far back.
Yeah, I mean, I said, if I'm gonna write a resolution for the board's consideration, I just wanna, dot the i's.
Lucia, do I have your permission to talk?
No.
Huh?
No.
That was a request put in by Joe Comblo about 6 months ago for a crosswalk on Underhill going into St. Vito's and an extra handicap spot at the corner where the entrance to the church is.
That's what,
It was a package request from him.
Okay.
Did we
yes.
vote?
I mean, I recall looking at something at the time. I just can't remember
Yeah, and that's as far
if
as.
the traffic
Yeah,
commission.
we didn't get anywhere after that.
Okay,
Oh,
I think we need to put that back on the agenda for next month, and we need to discuss it, right?
okay,
So
so I'm
were
gonna
you waiting
put,
for something from staff on that, or is that what you were waiting for, or just? the
No,
whole-
it just never, it just.
I don't think we voted on it.
Okay,
all right, so I'm gonna put it on the agenda.
I think, yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so Stuart,
Okay. So Washingtonville speed humps, I'm not sure
Wait.
why that's even here. I thought we can't
wait
do.
a second.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, what about Stewart? Stewart Avenue.
Oh, that's not the same thing? I thought that was the same issue, two different
It is.
issues.
It is the same thing. It was the same issue.
To what one?
No, the Stewart that you just discussed with Dan, making the turn on the Post Road from Stewart.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that one.
Yeah.
We talked about that one. Dan's gonna do that for us.
Okay,
Yeah, have
was that
duplicated
an
items.
official recommendation to?
That was,
Okay,
that was,
so-
yeah.
okay,
All right. So Dan, it was just to move the parking. So if you're on Stewart and you're looking to the left, to move that parking sign, so there's 2 spots of space for visibility reasons. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, okay. I can email you if it's helpful.
Please.
Okay. Washingtonville for speed bumps. I don't understand why there's even speed bumps because we don't allow speed bumps, do we?
Well, again, my recollection was when this originally came in, the commission said, let's put the speed trailers out there.
right.
Try to determine if there's an actual speeding issue. I think the data from the speed trailers demonstrated that there was not a speeding issue
Right.
on
Right.
those streets.
Right.
Okay, so
So-
just take that off then. It's
Okay.
done.
Okay, I'm gonna write done, take it off. Okay, perfect.
Okay, traffic safety issue, the corner of Mount Pleasant and Mamaroneck Avenue, crosswalk, Jerry to report.
Yeah, isn't that where the train station is, the light making the left onto Mamaroneck Avenue, that one, that's what
Yeah.
that is. Was that ever done with your guys' walk? No, it wasn't, right? Because
Well-
of COVID.
But this is about is this about having the a crosswalk across all of the legs of the intersection?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had Matt Carmody look at this, I think last year, and he communicated with the county because this is technically the county's intersection.
Right,
Because that section of Mount Pleasant is a county road, so this
Yes.
is their intersection, and he had apparently put together a plan that was palatable to Westchester County, but I think that's what he was going to report. I can make sure. I don't know if you have a copy of the report or the estimates, but I can make sure that you have that.
So this is that 5-way intersection, is that correct?
Correct.
So we can take this off because I think Shannon was gonna do this as part of Vision Zero, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think we were going to look to apply for grants through the Community
Yeah.
Development Block Grant
I think you
Program.
can take it off of our agenda.
all right, I'm gonna take it off.
Okay, Bishop Avenue, pedestrian walkway, Bishop Avenue. Does anybody know where Bishop Avenue is?
Yeah, it's alongside the railroad tracks.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
east of Western
yeah.
Mamaroneck Avenue.
Remember that one?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
remember that one.
I don't know.
So,
I
mean,
remember
I
what
think-
happened. It was that the trees,
Metro North took the trees down.
Yeah.
they took the trees down.
and-
What did we
and-
decide with
well,
that?
The neighbors have asked us to plant trees along Bishop Avenue. And, we've been talking with MTA for a bit about that. I think they actually gave us an agreement. But I think there was a separate request to have a walkway for the commuters in the area where those trees used to be instead of replanting trees. So, I think there's it might be a bit of a choice here between what is to be advocated for, to provide some screening and some noise attenuation for those residents who live on Bishop, or to use that space for a walkway. Again, we had been talking about replanting those trees for several years now. And I mean, I don't want to sound maudlin, but there is really not a tremendous need for commuter parking right now. And I don't know when that's going to change.
Mhm. Could we table this? Could we table, I mean, I'm just thinking about, you know, does the village have budget to plant trees along the traffic, along the train? That's gonna cost a lot of money too. Yeah, Kelly, yeah.
Hi.
Okay.
No, they don't. There is some money in the tree budget, but I don't think it's the village's land to put trees on. I think Metro
okay.
North would be, but they don't want trees there because they get it interfering with their lines.
Yeah, they would allow us to plant things like
Right.
arborvitae there, basically.
So can
And
we
that's what
drop this?
discussed with them.
Can we drop this for now? It seems like a non-pressing issue considering where we are. What do you think, Kelly?
I do think you can drop it. What I would recommend though, that you do, because I'm sick, so that's why I'm late. And I came in on the argument about how long the meetings are lasting. And we are having the same discussion month after month over the same issues. So can I just recommend that we write a little blurb about each of these issues so that then we can say, oh, why did we drop it? Here's the issue. Here's why we dropped it. Just so, and then maybe before the meetings, everyone can refresh their minds about these. So, you know, we're not just doing it over and over again.
So just so you know, I started a task list because I had the same frustration.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
task list has since disappeared from the website because I tried to do exactly what you're saying. Like,
Okay.
I don't
okay.
have access to it anymore. I don't know what
All
happened.
right.
It's gone.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
so
not your
sorry.
fault. I think that the connection's not there anymore because I went on to do just what you said.
Well,
And
maybe if we just distributed that between meetings to, you know, pass it along an email
Yeah.
chain and people
okay,
just
maybe
fill
I'll just
it
keep
in.
my own. I'll keep my own instead of having it on the web because the web, it's hard to, it's not there half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Sorry about that.
No.
Okay. All right, so I think we can take off the Bishop Avenue.
Okay.
The Mamaroneck Avenue improvements, that's a painting issue.
Yes,
that?
I will. That's me.
Okay, new signage on Halsted and Mamaroneck Avenue.
That's also the same intersection that the county has to get involved in.
Okay, so just cross that off then.
Cross it off, take it off?
New signage of Halsted, yeah, because that's the 5-way stop, right?
Yeah, and then that was the walking assessment that you guys were supposed to do.
The walking assessment March. So that's for the 5-way stop walking assessment? Is that right? So do you know what, Lucia, just put down 5-way stop walking assessment and leave just that one item there. We don't need to have 3 items on the same issue.
So which one, wait, which one do you want me to put, keep?
Okay, so where it has walking assessment, just
Mhm.
say 5-way stop, the Mamaroneck Avenue walking assessment.
Okay. And take the other two, take the other one off, the one
Yeah,
above?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, and that's it. And then we're done.
I'm here still. So
Oh,
sorry, if there's
Karen.
anything that I
Hey,
can do.
Lucia, can I just say one thing?
I think
Can I
we're
just say
good.
one thing, Lucia?
I'm sorry?
Can I just say one thing, one comment?
No. Go ahead. You're gonna anyway.
After we spent the whole evening talking about Rhinebeck, I'm glad I don't live in Rhinebeck. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you know
Hey,
what?
go
Everything you say you drive the bus over there, so what's the difference? It's like
All
living
right, you
there.
guys. Thank
In
you
your
so
bus.
much.
It
For your
sounds like
time.
Rhinebeck's full of
Let
problems.
me know if there's anything else.
wait.
Bye, guys.
We have to approve the minutes, right? To approve the minutes?
You also have to move to close the meeting and vote on closing.
Yes.
Okay. Which comes
Aye.
first? Which comes first?
Bye.
You do the
minutes.
minutes first.
Okay.
Because otherwise the meeting would be closed. You couldn't do the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Well,
All right. Lucia, do you want to
Oh,
the minutes?
I always, you know, it's always you and me. Come on, what's your name, Larry?
All right.
Speak. Speak up,
One
Larry.
little bit though.
Larry, would you bring a motion to approve the minutes?
God help us.
I'm making a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank God.
David, would you like to second?
Sure. I second the motion.
Yay.
Can we take a vote on that now?
Okay.
Me.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The minutes pass. Is there a motion to close the meeting?
I motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
In favor?
Aye.
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 It passes. Good night,
Okay.
everybody.
Thanks, Kelly. I hope you feel better.